Northern China and southern Mongolia share a border with the fifth largest desert in the world, the Gobi. It covers well over 500,000 square miles. It's located in Asia's most isolated territory, stretching 1,200 kilometers east-northeast of China's Tianshan, or Celestial Mountain Range, into China's Manchurian province. The Gobi is located at roughly the same latitudes as Central Europe and northern United States. Its basins range from approximately 1,600 to 5,000 feet above sea level. The Himalayan and connected ranges, which intercept moisture-laden clouds before reaching most of the Gobi, are to blame for their location in the rain shadow of the region's arid environment. In Mongolian, Gobi is a synonym for big and dry. The dry regions, which include enormous stretches of desert, cover 41.3% of the Earth's total land area, according to a report from the United Nations. This indicates that over half of the Earth's surface is not as ideal for cultivating crops as a large country. In the 1970s, China became concerned about their desert's growing problem, and they began the fight to tame the desert. Fast forward to the second decade of the 2000s, and they've successfully pushed the deserts back, increasing the amount of farmland. China is in the process of constructing a new wall. Still, this wall will be pretty distinct from the Great Wall of China, in that it will be designed to use China's dry land in a way that will be to the citizens' advantage. The plan of China is to turn the Gobi Desert into a forest. Now let's see how China turns deserts into forests. Consider a country the size of China, with a population of 1.3 billion people and a landmass that spans 3.5 million square miles. China faces the challenge of providing for both of these factors. However, it's essential to note that only 12% of that area is cultivable. Yet China is responsible for feeding 22% of the world's population using only that land. I'd say that's quite an achievement, don't you agree? Nevertheless, there was one thing that was giving Chinese leadership cause for concern: the Gobi Desert. Even if the Chinese government is no longer concerned that attackers will make their way through the desert to attack Beijing, the fast desertification of China's northern area still possesses a significant threat to the nation and its people. The Gobi Desert is the driest place on Earth and is also the driest place on the globe that is expanding at the fastest rate. In this era, the Gobi Desert has transformed approximately 2,250 grasslands into an uninhabitable wasteland. The Gobi Desert, a dry terrain that separates China and Mongolia, covers 500,000 kilometers of northern China and southern Mongolia. The presence of consciousness within the government, at the very least since the 1950s, when the Young People's Republic went on a nation-building frenzy, elevating farms and wildlands to build towns and creating infrastructure to support a burgeoning population, China has been fighting large-scale desertification. China has been struggling against desertification for a substantial amount of time now. As one of the most industrialized countries in the world, its governments couldn't just sit around and watch their valuable farmlands transform into deserts. They took action to combat this problem. It wasn't until the 1970s that the government began to focus primarily on the desertification of its fertile areas and began to take steps in a significant move to solve the issue. Before that time, no action had been taken to combat the problem. The Chinese government initiated a national attempt at ecological engineering, the 3 North Shelter Belt Project, in 1978. This project is sometimes referred to by its alternative name, the Great Green Wall. This program's objective is to halt the spread of the immense Gobi Desert and launch forestry projects along the 3,200-mile border that divides northern China and Mongolia. In the 3 North Shelter Belt Project, Chinese scientists working for the Ministry of Forestry are under the impression that the trees have the potential to act as a windbreak and prevent the progression of the desert. The Great Green Wall Project is anticipated to continue until the year 2050. Its ultimate goal is to plant approximately 88 million acres of forest in the form of a wall that will stretch out 3,000 miles and in some places will be as comprehensive as 900 miles. In more recent years, the government has subsidized and added several significant reforestation projects, which have resulted in the largest tree planting project in the history of humankind over the last few decades. According to the Chinese government, more than 66 billion trees have been planted in northern China. The results so far have been satisfactory, as thousands of acres of moving dunes have been stabilized, and the frequency of sandstorms across the country has decreased by 1/5 between 2009 and 2014. Over the past 4 decades, more than 7.8 million hectares have been covered in windbreak trees. According to a report published by the Chinese Academy of Sciences, 336,200 square kilometers of desertification have been reversed. Over the last 4 decades, more than 10 million hectares of grassland have been protected or restored. This program has helped raise total forest coverage to nearly a quarter of China's total area, up from less than 10% in 1949. Around 2,000 deserts across the country are expanding by 10,400 square kilometers a year, according to the GSA. This program has helped raise total forest coverage. Another significant step was made when the Maoso Desert in northern China's Inner Mongolian region was converted into a lush forest. By 2020, 93.24% of the Maoso Desert has been restored with vegetation. The desert areas, once ranked among China's 4 largest, have now almost disappeared from the map. At the beginning of this century, approximately 27% of China was covered in desert. Still, as a result of all the initiatives taken by the government, the percentage has decreased. Other steps have been taken by China to slow the spread of the deserts, including the passage of several laws beginning in the early 2000s. At the same time, scientists are looking for more and more ways to make the entire project run smoothly in time for the 2021 National People's Congress. The leadership of China has committed to new goals to increase the total area of land covered by forests by 1% by the year 2025, bringing the total to 23. Is everything going well? Even though the Great Green Wall project exhibits a great deal of promise, this doesn't mean that it's devoid of many challenges. Researchers in southwestern China found that farmers were cutting down native vegetation to collect money for sowing non-native plants as part of a government program. In addition, there were water shortages in the region, which is a problem because of the increased demand for water caused by planting so many trees. Introducing thirsty non-native trees to northern China as part of the project has absorbed dwindling groundwater resources in regions where rain is really scarce. This creates a vicious cycle in which the new trees take what's left of the water, and then they and other plant species around them die out. Large parts of China are drier, including some areas where trees are planted. According to a study published in 2019, the number of the semi-arid regions in China increased by 33 between 1948 and 1962 and the years 1994 and 2008. According to a study conducted in 2004, only 15% of the trees planted between 1978 and 2004 had survived. However, there is some good news. The National Forestry Department has recognized the importance of planting trees in arid areas. Recently, the National Forestry Department and local governments have shifted their focus toward planting shrubs with lower water requirements. As a result of the realization that monoculture forests are not sustainable, the head of the Forestry Department, Zhang Jianlong, stated that efforts should be directed toward maintaining healthy vegetation rather than simply planting trees to create a greener future. Chinese environmental scientists have been working to ensure that new forests have more extraordinary biodiversity. Currently, planting programs aim to grow forests with greater resilience by adopting planting patterns that emulate natural forests. With the technology available today, we need to do everything in our power to reverse the process of desertification as much as we can. Don't you agree? That's all for now, and we hope you've learned everything there is to know about China's Great Green Wall. What do you think of this video? Let us know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like it and hit that subscribe button before going. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.